Okay, so on the AutoCAD side, I have just one more thing that I want to go over because these are meant to be simple diagrams, so I don't want to overload you with too many devices. I want to go over transparencies and hatches. Okay, so one of the things that I think is significant here is that we have a ground plane that usually is shown with an incredibly thick line or some kind of hatch. Um, the other thing that we have here is a sun angle line that right now is telling me something, but it's not telling me a lot because between this one and that one and that one and that one, I can't tell where my sun is getting into the space or not getting into the space. I mean, in reality, I can because I can read it, but to the untrained eye, you might not know enough. So I want to shade it in where the sun is actually entering the space. Okay, so those are the two things I'm going to accomplish here. We'll start with the earth hatch. The earth hatch is, I'm going to show you just basically monochrome and then switching to an index color, a grayscale basically, so that you can show something that's not pure black. So under the earth layer, so I double clicked on earth layer to activate it here. What I need to do is create a boundary to fill a hatch in. Okay, so in AutoCAD, you don't create an already hatched object. You create a rectangle and then you fill it in with a hatch. So I'll just create a rectangle like this, and I'll click on one side of the earth that I created and the other side and hover down and pull it like that. And that's just a rectangle, nothing special. So then hatch is this little button right here. When you click it, it totally changes the tool palette to all of these things. And you have two options. You can select an object to fill, or you can pick a point that's going to fill the entire enclosed area that you select. If I select an object, I can just click on the rectangle itself. The other thing that it's doing is right now it's showing as pink or magenta. What you don't know right off the bat is that it might not actually be, like if I zoom out, it looks pink, right? Like that just looks like a pink bar. If I zoom in, you'll notice that it really is not pure pink, right? Because it actually has a hatch pattern, but at that resolution, you can't see it. So verify at all times that you're actually doing a solid pattern when you want to do a solid pattern, of course. And then when you zoom in, it'll stay pink. Or whatever color you're using. So here in the layout, I can do a preview and preview it, and it shows up black. And that's fine because we set it up for monochrome. Everything is going to be black, even a hatch. But what happens if I want it to be gray? So I need to change the way I have this thing set up if I want it to be gray. The proper way to do it, let's go into Page Setup Manager and go to Modify. The proper way to do it here is not to set grayscale. You can do this one called Custom Gray Hatch. I think that's actually what I did before. I created a new one. Yeah. I created Custom Gray Hatch. I shouldn't have pointed it out. I don't know why it still has that on here. Anyway, rather than doing grayscale, what's going to happen with grayscale right now is it's going to take all of the line types that you have as they are colored and transition them to a gray scale, really. It's the simplest way of putting it. So that's not the proper way to do it. The proper way to do it is to create a new plot style and to assign a particular color for whatever special feature you want. So in this case, I just need to pick one that's going to appear gray. So let's go to New. And I'm going to start from scratch. And I'll call this one I'm going to call it custom gray 2, but you should just call it something else, you know, like custom gray hatch, whatever you want to call it. I don't have a clever name for you. And then here is what is important. If you read the description, it says, oh, also just so you guys are aware here, now's the point where we're going to talk in depth about plot styles. So it's worth paying attention. So anyway, up here, if you read the description, it says Custom Grade 2 contains 255 plot styles. When it says plot styles, that really means your predefined index colors that we then create custom settings for how it's going to appear on the page. That's really it. So if you go into plot style table editor, this is what you see. So notice how it has your 9 primary colors, color 1 to color 9. 9 primary. I shouldn't say primary because that's not technically correct, but the main colors that are on the main bar at the bottom. And then you have all the others. And all the others are the ones that are filtered into that block of colors at the top. It's tough, I think, to remember where you have all the settings in this thing. So what I tend to do is work off of the 10s. So I'll do something like jump down to 20 or something. Like if I modify 10, color 10, then I'll jump down to like color 20 the next time I need something. It's a little easier to control, I think. So let's take a look at the properties. Am I moving too fast for you guys? No. All right. So the properties here, the one part that's most important that I want you to pay attention to is just color. That's it. Because when you look at grayscale, if you were to go in and modify the settings for grayscale, all grayscale, or not grayscale, my mistake, monochrome. If you look at the settings for monochrome, all of the settings is really like they just grabbed all of the colors like this and changed color to black. That's it. That's all monochrome is. So if you want to modify monochrome, don't modify monochrome, create a new one like this, just what I did right now, and then pick one to modify and change to a different color. So I'm going to use color 10, and color 10 is going to be my gray color. So with color 10, I just went here and I went down to select color, and now I can make it a gray instead. Why didn't it let me do that? There we go. So I'll make it a gray like this. So then I hit save and close because I only need one layer to be gray. And I'll finish it and then hit OK and close. So the thing that I need to do here is change earth to be color 10. And if you're not familiar with the index colors, then it might be tough to find, but I happen to know that 10 is right there. So I make it color 10, hit OK, it changes, and I go to preview. Now it looks like that. Everything else is black, true black, but the one layer that I want it to be gray is gray. So, what questions do you have about that? None. All right, cool. So let me real quickly just kind of go into what the next segment is going to focus on, and that's really the transparencies. Okay, so the transparencies are come out of the fact that when you want to create a shadow, let me get rid of that. When you want to create a shadow, you're going to fill it in basically with a hatch like this. But what's going to happen is now I want to show that as a translucent gray so that I can see the line work behind it, but when I preview it, I can't see behind it, right? So now we need to think about transparencies. So I'm going to stop the video and capture it in another segment. Yeah.
When I do my custom grade, it's still showing up color.
Yeah, same with me.
You have to select everything and make them black first.
I already did that.
Yeah, let me take a look at it. I'll come troubleshoot.